Xllerate has many memory variables to make your programming tasks easier. Let me show you what I mean. This is a standard Xllerate program workbook. At the bottom of the page, I have created a table. The first half of the table has the memory variables related to the workbook in focus. The second half of the table has memory variables related to the program workbook. At runtime, the value of these variables will be displayed here and here. I'm going to start the step-through process and show you what I mean. Okay, the step-through is on hold before the first line of code has been processed. Review the program's focus in the lower left of the screen. The Memory Variables Workbook, the Program Test Worksheet, and Cell A1 are the items in focus. These focus items correspond directly with the WS Selected Workbook, WS Selected Worksheet, and WS Selected Range. I'm going to process the first line of the code, which will open the designated workbook. The workbook is open. Notice the change in focus in the lower left. In reviewing the selected workbook memory variables, we see that the directory of the workbook in focus is C:\Xllerate. The selected workbook name is salesquery.xls. The selected worksheet name is data query. The selected range address is B1, and the last cell used on the selected worksheet is J431. This worksheet contains an external data query. It should have shown no data when we opened the workbook. This line of code will ensure that any previous data is deleted and the worksheet is blank. Review the program focus and the selected workbook memory variables. Notice how the last cell used changed to J1 because the contents of A2 through Z3000 was cleared. Next, we will refresh the external query. Do you see the change in the selected workbook memory variables? Now the program will save the new workbook. And in reviewing the memory variables, you can see that WS Selected Workbook is the new workbook name. All open workbooks are closed. With that, the program's focus is returned to the program workbook. When the program is complete, the memory variables are reset to the default values. So how can you use these memory variables? Here in WSV2 of row 2, the directory path is hard-coded. In WSV2 of row 3, the range address is hard-coded. The same for row 4, WSV2, the worksheet name is hard-coded, and the directory path in WSV2 of row 5 is also hard-coded. While this program produces the correct results, what if someone changes the worksheet name of the query, or the directory path is somehow remapped? The program could be written to be flexible enough to account for these situations. For example, rather than hard-coding the directory path in WSV2, we could use the WS Program Directory memory variable. This would tell the program that the file to open is located in the same path as the program workbook. That way, you could move this program workbook and the salesquery.xls workbook to Z:\new directory, and you would not have to change anything about this program. It would still open the correct workbook. This line of code is limited to clearing rows A2 through Z3000. What if someone saved the query with 5,000 rows? This variable has error trapping built in, so you cannot enter anything but a valid range address. Xllerate gives you access to a panel, which will allow you to modify the value of memory variables. For example, I will change the WS Program Directory value to C:\Xllerate, and the WS Selected Worksheet last cell used value to Z3000. Look what happened to the program. WSV2 in row 2 now displays the value I entered in WS Program Directory. I can now also change the range address in WSV2 of row 3 to A WS selected worksheet last cell used. Since WSV2 of row 4 is looking for a worksheet name, and we know it is the worksheet in focus, we can enter WS selected worksheet instead. And the last item, the directory path to save the new report workbook. I would like to save it to the same directory path as the program workbook. So I'll select WS Program Directory. Watch how these values change as the program runs and the program's focus changes. See how these values aren't correct? That is because Xllerate has not processed the first line of code yet. Keep watching. Now the values are correct. The contents are cleared. The query is refreshed. The workbook is saved. The workbook is closed. The program is complete. For more information on memory variables, go to the Xllerate Help Manual and search on the term Memory Variables.